So is keto just a fad diet? Hey folks, my name's Allie. Let's get started. So when I say the term fad diet, you probably have some things pop into your mind. For me, and this is just from my perspective, these are just some diets that I remember coming and going all throughout my life. So from like the late 90s and like the early 2000s, I remember seeing lots of those Slim Fast commercials, and I even tried it when I was in elementary school and middle school. When I was in middle school, my mom and I tried the South Beach diet because there were a couple of news programs that we saw where people were losing weight, and so we bought a book and we tried that for a little bit. Personally, I never tried Atkins, but I do know that that was pretty big back in the day. When we moved to this new city, a Jenny Craig location popped up, and then about 7 or 8 years later it disappeared. So just in my experience, that kind of came and went as well. We also tried some Weight Watchers books too, but I don't see too much about Weight Watchers anymore either. And then in my college days, just a few years ago, that book Wheat Belly came out, and I do like that book. I think it's a good book. But that kind of turned me on to the whole paleo thing, and I just remember like hearing about paleo and CrossFit, like both always like at the same time. So for me, those were kind of interlinked, and I feel like, everybody still knows about paleo. We have a paleo restaurant, here in town. I haven't been to it. I heard it's really good though. But for me, like, it was just like this big thing was everybody was going paleo. And I don't know, I don't hear about it as much anymore. Definitely now we still have the whole gluten-free thing, which is still really big. When I first actually started like streaming things on Netflix, a few years ago, maybe 5 or 6 years ago, I watched a couple documentaries about veganism. I watched Forks Over Knives and Fat, Sick, and Nearly Dead. And so I tried juicing and I tried veganism, and just in my perspective, those things came and went for me, and they didn't last very long. So for me, those were diets that, in my experience with them, when I tried to do them, they were kind of faddish, FAD. They were trendy, and they were things that I was really interested in and then just kind of gave up on. And so I wanted to make this video, is keto a fad or a trendy new diet? Because the Muscle and I, over this lovely weekend, finally it's spring, we went to the bookstore and we walked around, and they had at the front a table about diet. They had veganism books and paleo and keto, but then they had towards the middle back, in the middle of the rows, there was just this big table, and it was just filled with keto books. I didn't see any other type of diet have its own table in that whole bookstore, and so it just made me realize, wow, keto really is catching on, and I'm just wondering if it's with people who are actually doing it for the long term, or if it's just going to kind of die away. And I really don't want it to die away because I do think it's a good diet. And so I wanted to talk about that with you today. So I think keto has kind of caught on for a few different reasons. One reason is that we promote it really well. If you've ever seen like a Facebook post or a t-shirt that's like, I eat bacon every day, or ask me what a fat bomb is. I don't know. But the stereotypes about keto, I think that intrigues people. Also, too, with keto, you're not buying a product, right? You're not buying into a program like Weight Watchers. You're not buying a shake like Slim Fast. And so it's not something that you have to pay for over and over again. And it's not a program where they just kind of teach you, and then maybe once you stop paying for the program, you're on your own. So I think that's another factor for it. Also, too, I think it's really sustainable for the average American like me and all the other average Americans out there. And so being sustainable for any weight loss program is going to be essential, because once you start losing weight, and if you stop doing what you've been doing and you go back to your old habits, you are going to gain that weight back, right? So sustainability is very important for weight loss and maintaining weight loss. I'll be honest, I wanted to go vegan, not necessarily for, any moral or ethical reasons. I mean, those were nice add-ons, but because I just wanted to be able to eat all the vegetables I wanted to and still lose weight. But for me, veganism wasn't sustainable just because I missed so much food that I couldn't have on the vegan diet anymore, and it wasn't something that I could stick to personally. And I think a lot of Americans would struggle. This is just my opinion. I think they would struggle with going, on a super duper strict diet like veganism. And so I think that's why keto works for many people, and that's why I hope it's not just a fad, because it's easy to eat keto for the most part, I think. So for those couple of reasons, because it's so sustainable for the average American, and because it's not like you're buying a product or a service, I think that it makes it more than just a fad diet. Now, I do think to a lot of folks who haven't tried keto or who are just hearing about it, it might seem like a fad diet to them. And I think that that comes from the form of, people advertising fat bombs and eat all the bacon you want. And I just had a 32-ounce porterhouse. Although I do have to admit, I did post on my Instagram that I had 5 buttery eggs this morning and they were delicious. So I do kind of brag about what I eat. But nonetheless, I think advertising it that way is kind of good because it attracts the curious. They're like, eat all the fat you want and lose fat. I might have to try that out. And it got me. Like, that's why I started keto in the first place, is because I was like, I like steak and I like eggs and cheese, so I think I'll try this one too. Now, for the people who just jump in as an excuse to eat all the butter and bacon that they want, I think that it would be a fad or maybe just a trend for them. I did do my research like a week or so before I actually started the diet, just to look in. I was thinking about buying keto sticks and I was thinking about making my favorite fat bombs. But then I just kind of set all that aside and I was just like, this is a diet where you eat good food, meat and vegetables, some cheese, some dark chocolate, whatever, some nuts, and you're good to go. And so, like, after I realized that, I was like, okay, this might be something that I can do for a long time. And I think that for all the people that look past the bacon and the fat bombs, it's sustainable for them too. So I think keto is more than just a fad and trendy diet because it teaches you a lot of things. It taught me lots of things. And I think it would teach the average American who didn't grow up learning a lot about nutrition how to eat well. It taught me that I didn't need all this sugar, that we as Americans are overexposed to sugar. When Europeans and Canadians complain that American, sliced bread tastes like cake, it's because it does, okay? Like, whenever I eat just a red pepper, that is such a treat to me. I'm like, oh my goodness, this is so sweet. Whenever I eat a little cherry tomato, I'm like, this is just like an apple or a fruit or a cherry or something. It's so sweet. And so once you kind of change your tastes, you realize that you have been eating so much sugar, that you've been desensitized to it, that you don't need it anymore. It taught me that I don't need the filler foods like bread and pasta and potatoes, and that I can be satisfied just eating the better parts of the meal, the healthier parts of the meal, the meat and the vegetables. And along with that, I think it taught me how to enjoy vegetables. Oh my goodness, no more just steamed broccoli for the rest of my life, right? You can saute them, you can steam them with butter, you can, make casseroles out of them. There's more variety than just, boiled or steamed vegetables that I think appeals to like the average American who loves fried food. I think we as Americans are big on food waste. I know before I ever started keto, if I ever bought fresh food, it would just go bad in the fridge because I would favor my frozen food because those are my favorite foods. And so the fresh food that I bought, whether it was like drinks like milk or if it was like fruit or anything or vegetables, they would go bad. And so that was a lot of food waste and a lot of money waste. And so now, when you're on keto, you're not really buying a lot of processed foods. So you're buying more fresh foods and you're eating them more quickly. So you're cutting out on that food waste and on that money waste. And I think that that really appeals to the average American. Also, too, finally, Americans aren't really good with portion sizes. And so once you realize that you can feel satisfied on a slab of meat and a big side of vegetables and you don't need much else, it kind of helps you realize, oh, maybe this is like a normal way to eat. So for the average American, those who want to try keto and can look past the fat bombs and the baconacalypse, I think that it's appealing because the sustainability comes in other ways too. You can shop for keto foods at Walmart. I do. Like, that's my store, okay? I'm broke all the time and I don't have lots to spend on my groceries. And so, the average American doesn't want to go spend extra money in specialty food stores and they don't want to have to buy specialty ingredients. Now, there are those specialty keto ingredients out there, but you don't have to use them. You don't have to buy them. If you're missing, chocolate or a chocolate dessert, just get some butter and some coconut oil and put some chocolate and sweetener in it. You've got a chocolate dessert. Like, you don't have to go buy these special things. Even if you don't want coconut oil, you can make your own, dark chocolate at home with just butter, maybe a little bit of heavy whipping cream. And so, for the person who just wants to shop at a normal store and spend the exact same or less than they were spending before they tried the diet, I think it's really sustainable for them. It's also a diet that allows you to socialize with family and friends when you eat together. So whether you go over to somebody's house, maybe you're bringing your own appetizer dish, you can bring things that people will love, like bacon wraps or, shrimp cocktail or things like that. Or, maybe somebody's cooking. They're probably going to have a meat and probably a vegetable side. So you can probably eat what they're cooking. Also, when you go out to eat, it's really easy to eat keto because you're just getting meat and vegetables, probably. You can drink on keto. They make all types of low carb drinks, alcohol wise. You can do spirits, you can do dry wines, and they make low carb beers. I mean, there are all those options out there. If you miss your sweets, they have sugar substitutes. Find the ones that you like. Personally, I like Splenda. Some people don't like Splenda, whatever, but whatever works for you. And so with other diets, when they cut out, food groups or things that you're not allowed to eat, but there's no good replacement for it, it's really hard to maintain that. And finally, the food is good. For the average American, we like meat and most of us like vegetables. And so, when people say, I'll miss my bread, I'll miss my sweets, I'm like, yeah, but replace the bread. Just try it with some vegetables and sweets. There are lots of keto-friendly sweets out there. You can make your own. So is keto just going to be a fad? What do you think? I think it's going to stick around a long time because it really teaches people that they don't need sugar or starches, and it teaches them that they can eat, normal portions and be satisfied. It basically teaches you how to eat more nutritiously, but it's also really delicious. Nutritious and delicious, as Michael Scott once said. So what are your thoughts? Are you new to keto? Are you thinking about trying keto? Are you a keto vet? I want to know if you think keto's here for the long term or if it's just going to be a trend. Well, folks, that's about it for today. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe to my channel. And if you want to find me on Instagram, my name is keto_Ally. Also, I have a blog. It's AllyMcWowie.com where I'm posting my recipes. And you can find me on Facebook as well. Again, thank you guys so much for watching. My name's Ally. Have a good one. Bye. I really do think keto will be here for the long term. I mean, just in my experience as your average, American woman, I think that it's just, I love the food. Like, I'm a food lover. I like to eat, and I like to eat good food. And so for me, I think it's just something that is sustainable. But like I said, I do want to know what you guys think. Keep your eyes out for the Merlot down. I'm going to have another episode out in a week or so. I really enjoyed making my other one. And so the Merlot down is just, where I can make videos about whatever I want. And so, I don't know, I just like to put my input out there and see what other people think. So if you enjoyed the last Merlot down, keep an eye out. That'll be out maybe in a week or so. But thank you guys as always for watching. I really do appreciate it. Have a good one. Bye.